The resolution, the closure or the kind of continued operation of this facility seems to be what's at stake here. Is that correct?
I can't really comment on that because, as you will understand, because of the ongoing federal litigation, we really should keep that all tight until such a resolution is reached or an order of the court is made.
Any sense where the mediation is headed?
I do not have that information at this time.
Okay.
What was the purpose of today's meeting if everything has been sealed?
The purpose of today's meeting was the board of directors needs to meet in order to make certain decisions about the way that the mediation is going. And so that was the purpose of today's meeting. We had to make certain decisions to authorize our counsel to take certain actions while they're going through this litigation. And so that's what happened, but they're sealed because of the nature of the litigation.
Was it unknown going into this because we were told this was going to be a public meeting? Was it unknown at the time that would go into executive session?
There was a space for people to make public comment, and as you noticed, no one did.
Do you think that's because of the ongoing litigation? People are afraid to speak up because they might be sued?
I don't know. I hope not. This is a public entity after all, and I hope that people feel empowered to come into this space and say what they need to say about the corporation, about the prison, about the city of Central Falls, and whatever they need to say is welcome here. That's why we put a space for public comment on the agenda for today. I think the timing is a little uncomfortable. It's 9 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. People have to work. I had to clear my agenda in order to be here. And so I think that's more where that's coming from rather than people being afraid to speak out. I really hope not. I have sort of, throughout my years of work, I've set myself out as somebody who's very approachable, who people can talk to. And I hope that the litigation and the ongoing nature of these closed discussions isn't pushing people away, but litigation is litigation, and so we need to keep that private until it's resolved.
At the time, you mentioned a few concerns that you had a few weeks ago with the ICE contract, and that suspension that you guys voted on, it's been stayed. Do you retain those concerns that you voiced a few weeks ago? So
the warden and I have been working together very closely to try to resolve some of those concerns. And as you saw a couple of weeks ago in the Providence Journal, we actually were able to get a team of attorneys in to speak to the last group of detainees, which was one of my primary concerns that I highlighted at that first meeting. So believe me when I tell you that we are working together very closely to make sure that all of those protections that I spoke about the first time that we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago are being dealt with, and that in the event that people were to return who were ICE detainees, that they would continue to be dealt with in an appropriate way.
At this point, do you know how many ICE detainees are currently housed at Wyatt? Are there any from that original cohort of about 130 something?
I believe there are none. I believe the last group of them left earlier this week.
And where did they go?
To different detention facilities. Unfortunately, we don't control where they go, right? The federal government has control over that, so they probably ended up at different detention facilities.
What are the next steps for the lawsuit then? Can you tell us, are you close to a settlement? Do you think it's going to go further?
We are hoping that it can settle, but we don't know for sure yet whether it will. And there's mediation and litigation later on today, and so we will see where we land. All right.
What was the purpose of today's vote? Like what changed based on what happened?
So it just authorized our lawyers to take certain action in the event that certain things happen. But as I mentioned, we really can't get into the specifics of that because of the ongoing litigation. Thank you everybody so much for your time.
And there is a mediation.